Hi, I'm Ira Wallace with Southern Exposure Seed Exchange here at Acorn Community Farm, and I'm for the soil because the soil is the basis of our agriculture. Soil grows our plants, and I love good soil.
Thank you so much for returning for part 2 of this special episode celebrating National Soil Health Day coming up on June 23rd. I'm your host, Jeff Ishii, and joining us, my co-host, Dr. Eric Benfelt with Virginia Cooperative Extension Community Viability, and Mary Sketch Bryant with Virginia Soil Health Coalition. A brand new song was recently released called For the Soil. It was written and performed by Ennis and Phil Carter with Social Impact Studios. And we asked Ennis, what exactly do you do at Social Impact Studios?
So Social Impact Studios was started in 1996 by myself and Phil as a senior visionary advisor. And we continue to run Social Impact Studios out of Philadelphia as a creative hub to engage people in culture, to act on important social issues. Now, you can imagine in 1996, when we started doing this work, it was a lot different than it is now. I just want to remind people there was no internet. There were not really cell phones. So we were really more like a creative agency that worked with nonprofit organizations and artists to help them do their creative work. A lot of it was graphic design. And because people didn't have the tools, they didn't have Canva and they didn't have, Squarespace to do their own website. So they needed help with that. And that came out of a background that I had as a community organizer working on environmental issues in New Jersey, and a cultural anthropology background that Phil has as a musician and somebody that understands social sciences and education. And so we've always kind of combined our forces to try to provide for the folks that are doing really good work in the world out there to amplify their voice and to do that in a way that has changed over the years. So now we do everything from, we still do graphic design and websites, but we do everything from community action events or art exhibits that actually bring, or big large scale murals, or in integrating video and music like we did with For the Soil.
And Ennis and Phil, we hear that soil both has a memory as well as a story, and the idea of memory is certainly important with music as well as art. And you were just referring to 1996. How do you use memory and nostalgia in communicating and thinking about social change?
Well, oftentimes nostalgia is it's a connecting point. It's a jumping off point when you are initially starting a project or meeting someone, what they do. It's a good way to get in and
common ground. I think part of our job is, as culture bearers and culture workers, is to be open to connecting the dots between other people's culture, even if we haven't directly had that experience. As artists, we're very skilled at imagination. And so we can get into the minds of people, not in an insidious way, but we can think about what are the common things that all people go through, but then we're listening for cues about what backgrounds might have brought them to some form of understanding. And when it comes to promoting issues, that is how I got started, was just really getting to the core of the issue and not being afraid to say something really simple, like soil health is health for everybody. Just leaving it at that, and then starting a conversation, kind of what you're doing here. You never know where people are going to actually answer their own questions because you've started a conversation as opposed to telling them what it is that they're supposed to do.
Ennis and Phil, talking a little bit about the impact piece, how do you measure impact and change. We know, say, take soil health. We know that it is not a full measure of impact to just look at how many people put cover crops in their garden. So how do we, whether it's the For the Soil initiative or other efforts that Social Impact Studio is working on, how do you look at that change factor?
So in our work, we definitely rely heavily on listening, putting our ear to the ground and getting a sense. And because we've been doing this for so long, you can kind of pick up when something is tipping and something has a sense. We talked in the first episode about how Social Impact Studios created the Buy Fresh, Buy Local initiative nationally many, many years ago. And we can get a sense of it literally when we travel. We see bumper stickers on people's cars for Buy Fresh, Buy Local. So we know it's working. We know it's out there. On a technical level, we can look at trends. We can look at hashtags, or we can look at polling. So whenever we do large scale polling, we can get a sense of how many people are recognizing something. And just as an industry inside, those kinds of polls, they don't poll millions of people. I mean, you can probably get a sense of that during the election season when they say, 25% of the people say this. They've only polled a couple hundred, if at most, to get those numbers, because human beings are pretty consistent. You can tell a lot from that. But I would go back to your point, Mary, that it's anecdotal. Like, trust your gut, like trust what you're hearing, and look and see it in use and see how people light up when they see it. We've heard that about For the Soil, that people literally dig it, no pun intended, that they get excited about it and that they want more about it.
I'd like to go back to this brand new song that you've written, Ennis and Phil Carter, and this brand new song is called For the Soil, just released this summer. And Ennis or Phil, I'd like to ask you about how you write the lyrics to this, and also specifically the audience that you're writing for. Are you writing for elementary school kids? Are you writing for a college age audience, for adult contemporary? What are you thinking?
Well, first, I mean, it has to resonate personally and with my partner. And certainly soil has a technical specific audience that you want to talk to, but it's for everyone. So we try to have something in there that everyone can. It's not to make things to oversimplify or to make things complicated. It's just to have something that, you can have big words in there for kids, for young children. That's fine. That's how they learn. But then there's also, I don't know, other language that could be picked up.
And also, I think we've all had this experience where we're adults watching something that is accessible for children. And there's a lot of inside jokes that they are not going to get that we are getting as adults, or kind of fun aha moments of twists on language or references to other rock songs or something. When we weave that in, it means that everybody can kind of pay attention. It's like, wait a minute, there's something here for me too. This isn't just quote unquote dumbed down, to a very basic level.
We like to have a community audience, not just say, oh, we're performing for this age group or adults, or
kind of like you're performing at a county fair. I mean, it's a wide audience.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, also thinking about, I know another aspect that you're involved with, art and education. And I think For the Soil and the music really fits in well with, getting people really engaged in education and appreciation for the arts.
Yes. That's something that we do as kids all the time. We're engaged through art to learn something, and then there's some kind of perception that ends once that somehow we're not lifelong learners and learning all the time, but we are. And soil is definitely one of those complex ideas and subjects that needs ongoing attention.
And Phil and Ennis, we always like to ask our guests, Social Impact Studios makes a lot of inspiring work. Who or what inspires you, though?
Thank you. Good question.
What music do you listen to?
Phil, who are you listening to these days?
Flip charts.
Yes. Well, Phil is obviously somebody that is very humble and the quiet one. But I will say that Phil has recently gotten a resonator guitar known as a dobro. It's a metal guitar. So that's that's new to us in the flip charts, but he has he's always listening, telling me about something new. And I think that that's something that is common to the both of us, is that we listen to a wide variety of music and like to listen to new things that are coming from different places all the time, but also connecting it back to what we understand, the lens that we understand. I'd love to talk about why we're listening only to a teaser right now and what you talked about in the last episode, Jeff.
Please go
Maybe
ahead.
a video is on its way. Yeah. So the reason that you're hearing just snippets or parts of the song is that we actually do want to engage a community of musicians in Virginia. We're in the process of setting that up to do a more professional recording to put the song out, but also to do what we're calling the Hoot and Annie. And if you are followers of For the Soil, you will know about the coloring book that we created at Social Impact Studios that has an owl that we're naming Hoot right now, and a bunch of other characters such as a worm and, robins. So we're thinking there's Hoot and there's Annie, and they're going to be hosting this time to bring together a community of musicians and people to do a fun recording with a bunch of different musicians. And that is what's going to be put out as a video that goes with the recorded song.
Well said. And we can take a moment here to highlight this upcoming event on Sunday, June 23rd, which is National Soil Health Day. For the Soil, a conversation is going to be hosting a very special family-friendly event at Camp Fire just outside of Farmville, Virginia, and that is spelled Camp Fire, Phyre. It is technically in Rice, Virginia. The address and all of the information you need is found at our Facebook page, For the Soil, or at our website, forthesoil.org, and that will be celebrating National Soil Health Day. Bring your musical instruments, your fiddle, your banjo, your guitar, whatever it is you play. This will be filmed for a video, as Ennis said, and that will be on Sunday, June 23rd in Rice, Virginia at Camp Fire. It's called the Hoot and Annie Celebrate National Soil Health Day. I think we've got time. Let's go ahead and listen to that tease again of this brand new song from Ennis and Phil Carter, For the Soil.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We are for the soil. We are for the soil. I am for the soil. You are for the soil. We are for the soil. We are for the soil. I am for the soil. You are for the soil. 1, keep it covered. 2, take it easy. 3, keep roots growing. 4, thrive with diversity. 1, keep it covered. 2, take it easy. 3, keep roots growing. 4, thrive with diversity. 1, 2, 3, 4. We are
For the Soil, a brand new song from the Flip Charts, Ennis and Phil Carter. And Mary and Eric, we've got just a couple of minutes remaining in this special episode. Any further questions?
Just building off their last, what Anna shared, it's sort of another example of sort of energizing with diversity, the idea of a For the Soil, Hoot and Annie, and thinking that, in the soil, there's biology and there's chemistry and there's different insects. And so I really appreciate that, Ennis and Phil, thinking about the importance of diversity.
And maybe listeners can come out to the Hootenanny when we're having it.
Yes, really looking forward to that. Now, you talk about engaging your audience. How can our listeners get in contact with you at Social Impact Studios?
So we are at socialimpactstudios.com. We are also at the flipcharts.com. And you can follow us on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn and even on Twitter. I'm going to call it Twitter still. But yeah, you can get in touch with us through any of those channels. Thank you for asking that.
Ennis and Phil Carter, the FlipCharts and with Social Impact Studios. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks so much, Jeff.
Thank you.
And Eric and Mary, thank you so much, and we'll catch you in the next one. For the Soil, a conversation is made possible with funding support from the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation and the Agua Fund. Other partners include the USDA's Natural Resources Conservation Service, Virginia Cooperative Extension, Virginia State University, Virginia Department of Conservation and Recreation, and partners of the Virginia Soil Health Coalition. Views expressed on this podcast are those of each individual guest. To download a copy of this or any other episode, visit the website forthesoil.org. And if you should have a specific question about soil health, call your local extension office, your local USDA service center, or a Soil and Water Conservation District office. Music used during today's program was provided courtesy of the FlipCharts, all rights reserved. For the Soil, a conversation is produced by On the Farm Radio in collaboration with Virginia Tech. I'm your host, Jeff Ishii.